Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today we're going to be visiting a fantastical grove in the Forgotten City. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and read from the introduction here, because I'm not sure I can do a better job of explaining what's going on than just reading this. So, the idea is, you find yourself in a forgotten city. When you wake up, arcane helpers assist you on your path to remembrance by collecting or recollecting memory fragments, conjuring miracles, stopping the nightmares, and creating lasting imprints within your own memories. I'm not sure what that means. In the game, you are going to be sending out your little helpers to build tiles and then gather victory points and gather a couple of different things, money, resources, spending those resources to build more things. We're going to go ahead and take a look at how the game works. Come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. Here we're going to be looking at a game in progress. The 3 players playing our game here are about to start the 4th round out of 6. So I just jumped right into the middle of a session to show you what this is going to look like and the kind of actions we are going to do. So I'm going to take you through one round of the game. At the beginning of the round, the players, in the order that they are here at the top of this track going that way, are going to select a new tile that they may be able to build later on. So starting from the green player is going to select this tile over here. They'll take it, they'll put themselves in that spot, and they're going to lock this one over here on their board. You could have possibly carried over a tile. This player did carry over a tile from last turn, so you can store up to 2 of those. Next up, we have the orange player who is going to go ahead and take this one here. This one had a coin on it because it didn't get selected last time. So they get the coin and they put the tile on their board. And then lastly, pink player is going to take this one. And they're going to put that on their board. And that's it. So you can move these over to the corner if you'd like. And now we go to phase 2. During phase 2 or step 2, the players are going to deploy their little workers here onto the board somewhere adjacent to the leader or later on adjacent to one of the other workers of their own color, and then take an action. You can do one of 4 things in the game. You can either send out a worker. Again, and for this phase we're going backwards, so green would be first based on these colors here where you ended up on this track. So green would be first. The 4 actions are as follows. You can send a little worker out and gain resources. In this case, it's a blue tile, so they get one of these resources into their pool. That's option 1. Option 2 is you build one of these by paying the resources listed around the outside of the tile. It must be built in a location that matches the color. So, this player wants to build this one. They can do so here, for example. In this case, they pay 3 coins and they get any 2 resources of their choice. And they would put the tile out there. They would put their worker on it, pay whatever the cost is. Again, in this case, 3 coins. So I'm going to take a change of 2. And then you take one of these tokens, the next one, and you mark that that's your location. Whatever number you revealed over here, you're going to get in victory points. So this player gets 2 victory points. All right. So that was their option. And now it would be the pink player's turn. So, that was the first 2 options. Third option, you can take your character, you can lay them down, and just take 2 coins from the pool. And then finally, the 4th option, you can go somewhere that's already been built, and you pay the resources at the top again, and you make whatever it says across the bottom, all right? So, in this case, our player over here is going to indeed do this action. They're going to go from here to here. They pay the 1 yellow and the 1 blue shown across the top of that tile from their resources. 1 yellow, 1 blue, and they are going to make whatever it says at the bottom. So they're going to increase the income track by 1, and they're going to make 1 on this track here at the top. These 3 tracks right here translate into gathering across the 2 tracks at the top and money across the bottom here. I'll show you that step a little later. So that's it for the options, okay? And every player is going to take 4 actions during this step 2 of the game because they've got 4 of these little workers. So that was pink. Now it would be the orange player's turn. They might decide that they want to go somewhere across the board. So you could, if you're next to one of these portals, pay 2 coins to come out with this character next to a portal elsewhere on the board. So they could do that if they wanted to. Now, this character, unfortunately, doesn't have any resources that they ended up with at the end of the last round, so they're going to spend, I think, some time gathering resources. Thankfully, they have an upgrade over here that says every time they gather resources, they get a victory point. So this player's going to go right here. They're going to make 1 blue and a victory point. And orange is actually winning right now. So there we go. And the next player would go, which is green and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward through this part. Okay, so assuming that's all done, they've sent out all their little characters and done different things in the game. Let's not worry about where they ended up. By the way, if you go to the center, you can trade in 1 cube of anything for a different one of anything. So we go to step 3. Step 3, the players are going to update their boards. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So we take a look at the first track here of the 3 shorter ones. It says that we move up on the track that looks like a leaf. That's sort of buying power over here. It says they move up 1. So the master track at the top, we move up 1 on that. On the next one, the shields, which is used for fighting these nightmares, it says we move up 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then the bottom one says we make 1 coin. So you just take that from the pool and add it to your reserves. Everybody would do this, okay? That's it for step 3. Step 4 is where the players are going to spend those leaves to buy these tokens out here. And these are bonuses during the game and scoring opportunities at the end of the game. These do not replenish, these do. And so the players have already purchased some of these. Like I said, this one lets this player, every time they gather resources, they make a victory point. This one over here says if they end up, and this comes from this section of the board, if they end up with 3 of the lighter tokens, for every yellow building, monument, built on the board, they're going to get 2 victory points. And then, the other players have different ones. This player, for example, says if they end up with 2 of the light tokens, for every monster they slay, they get 3 victory points. That's very nice because this player has already killed 2. And they're the only ones that have dealt the killing blow, in fact. So, again, players would spend some time buying those. They go here on this track. The costs keep going up and up. So it would be 2 for the first spot, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 12. That's how much you spend. And, those are, again, the track caps out at 15. So, very expensive. But you get victory points on top of that. You are going to get 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7 victory points, respectively, when you cover up those spots. And that's it for step 4. You do this, again, in this color order. Then you go to step 5, in which we fight monsters. Anybody who ended up in a color that matches one of these nightmares is going to have to fight against the nightmare by spending the shields, taking their tokens out here, again in this order. So let's say greens first. Let's say they ended up on, yellow or purple. So they could spend 1 shield, take a token, put it right here. Now, if they continue to do this, you eventually start covering up spaces that have actual numbers. Those are victory points. If you're the one who deals the killing blow, you get the monster. You'll keep it. It might be worth victory points. If you are the one who sent the most tokens out here, you get a cube of a matching color, your choice. That's how that step works. And everybody must attack it at least once if it's around, and if you went to that color, because if you do not, you lose a couple of victory points if you cannot defend against it at all. Next up, step 6 is going to reveal a new nightmare into the next spot. In this case, that one, it's every color, and it's got quite a few spots there. So we put the next card out there. Every player is going to move where their monster leader is. It must move, so I could replace it with this one. And then I take the other ones back. And then we are going to replenish this up here. Anything that didn't get taken gets a coin on it. Like so. And then we are going to replenish these into whatever empty spots are still out there. Like that. And like that. These 2 in the back are only for 4 players. And that's it for the 6 steps. We then begin with the next step, being the 5th round. And the players, in this order, just for the first phase anyway, picking the tile they want and sort of changing the turn order for the upcoming fight onto the board here. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how the game works, and I wanted to make sure that you got a good look at this board because I think it's, well, quite busy. Also, I should mention that players are allowed to go where other players' creatures are, except for the leader, but you have to pay coins to go there, equal to how many critters are already there, and it does get rather crowded on this board. So that's it for me. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think. All right, so that is the Forgotten City. Let's talk about it. I have this kind of game. Reviewing this kind of game is one of the harder ones because I feel very middle of the road about a lot of what's going on in this game. The first thing that captivated me about it was that cover. This cover is gorgeous. The rest of the game does not look as good as this, and it looks rather busy, as I think you can see from the overview there. So, let me go ahead and dive right into this. I only have one part of the game that I think is an out-and-out negative for me. The rest of it is all, it's kind of, okay. So the thing I really don't like is the components, the aesthetics of the game. Components are too small. The board is too small and cramped. There are typos on things. The cards are low quality. They are not rounded for some reason. They have square corners, not sure why. There are weird graphic design choices in the game. Everything is just sort of a little mishandled. This is the kind of game that feels prototypey, like we're still working on it and someone released it, Because I think there's a lot of game there. And it's a clever game. There's neat things happening, but this is not the production to highlight those things. So that's my main complaint. Everything else is, again, kind of just okay. The theme seems kind of interesting, but doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's nebulous, like many other things in the game. This idea of not quite being able to put your finger on what's off, but something's off. And the theme is just there. The replayability is all right. There are different tiles that are going to come up for those scoring bonuses. The nightmares are going to come up in a different order, though it probably doesn't matter because you're likely to find yourself on some of those colors anyway. Not sure that should have been the trigger for the nightmares. Maybe you just should attack nightmares anyway. Again, issues with those things. So replayability, okay. The game length is okay. The game's not too long, but it certainly doesn't feel like it gets to its point quickly enough. It might even be a little too long. I'm not sure. I felt like it was, I was ready for it to be done about a round early. So that's not a major problem. This isn't getting a negative here. It gives you time to develop, right? To get this board filled up, to revisit places, get everything cooking for you. But it also doesn't feel like, wow, fantastic playtime. Ease of play. The game's fairly straightforward. They give you those player aids. They give you a nice breakdown of the turn order. It works. There's a lot of phases in it, but it also is a little confounding how okay, so when I make money, I just don't put the guy out at all. There's one of the special tiles, one of the powers that says you can re-harvest one of the locations that's been built over. Well, I built over it. I don't remember if the location below, I know it's the same color as the one above it, but I don't remember if it said I made one of that resource or two, because there's some locations that make two. Am I supposed to only make one? Am I supposed to pick up the tile and remember, or look at it and, okay, it's two. I make 2 yellow cubes. I'm not sure. So again, ease of play is a little iffy. And then lastly, tactics and strategy can be clever, but samey. You're doing the same things. You are managing the same sort of stuff from round to round. I know that sounds nebulous from me, but again, it's kind of hard to put your finger on it. And something you can put your finger on is that the tiles, the special bonuses, the round discs, in my opinion, don't feel balanced. Some of them don't scale well, depending on the number of players. The board, some of the tiles say, okay, well, you score victory points for this color of tile, or you score victory points for every location that didn't get a tile built up. that scale is wildly different based on the number of players. So that seems off. Overall, this is a game, like I said, that's really hard to review because there's so much promise here. The moment-to-moment play is not bad, you know, but there are so many fumbled bits that just seem off, that seem incomplete, that seem like you want to get in there and fix it. You want to give them another 6 months. I don't know. You know, you want to see a second version, a second edition of this. And I do. I do want to see a second edition of this with bigger tiles, with typos fixed, with some cleaned up concepts. You know, the nightmares thing you're fighting seems so tacked on. Yes, I like fighting off monsters, but tying them to the colors on the board, was that necessary? Couldn't they just be monsters we're fighting every round? I don't know. There's something there that seems both overcooked and missing something, you know? So I rate this about a 6 out of 10. I'll just say that. I don't normally give a number out, but that's about where I'm at with this. So I don't dislike it, you know? I don't hate it anyway. But I don't really recommend it either. There's too many Euro games of this ilk that are better than this, better finalized. So that's a Forgotten City. Kind of a hard one to review because I don't know. You might love it. You know, you might look at it and go, yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy this. But I can almost guarantee you there's a better option for you out there if this looks good. So there you go. That's the Forgotten City. I'm Z Garcia. Thanks for checking this out with me. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.